Government apologizes for emergency PPKM ineffectiveness. Garuda Indonesia posted higher net loss in 2020. Hello, good evening viewers. Market Headlines is ready to provide you information from the economic, business and capital market sector. And as the pandemic is still going on, we will provide you the latest information about COVID-19, and please stay safe by taking some simple precautions such as physical distancing, wearing a mask, avoiding crowds, cleaning your hands and having less mobility. And with me, Fajar Wayong, this is Market Headline. Let's open up market headline. Coordinating Minister for Maritime and Investment, Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, apologizes if the emergency PPKM to suppress the transmission of COVID-19 has not been optimal, where the emergency PPKM in Java and Bali has been running since last July 3rd. The government apologizes if the emergency PPKM to suppress the transmission of COVID-19 has not been optimal, where the emergency PPKM in Java and Bali has been running since last July 3rd. Luhut said that the government would work optimally to reduce the number of cases of COVID-19 transmission. He said the Delta variant of the coronavirus is currently spreading 7 times faster than the first variant.
Terakhir, sebagai koordinator PPKM Jawa dan Bali, dari lubuk hati yang paling dalam saya ingin meminta maaf kepada seluruh rakyat Indonesia jika dalam penanganan PPKM Jawa Bali ini masih belum optimal. Saya bersama jajaran dan menteri kepala lembaga terkait akan terus bekerja keras untuk memastikan bahwa penyebaran varian Delta ini bisa diturunkan.
Meantime, the decision regarding whether the emergency PPKM is extended or not will be taken in the next 2 to 3 days. Currently, the government is still evaluating the results of policies to suppress the transmission of COVID-19. Luhut claims that community mobility and activities have decreased significantly during the implementation of emergency PPKM since July 3rd. IDX Channel reports. In time, the government increased the social assistance budget to reach 39.19 trillion rupiah during the emergency PPKM period. Additional social assistance will be provided through various programs. The government increased the social assistance budget to reach 39.19 trillion rupiah for the community during the emergency PPKM period. Additional social assistance will be provided through various programs. Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati detailed the additional budget for the various social assistance programs. First, the government increased the budget for the basic food card program by around 7.25 trillion rupiah for 18.8 million recipients. The additional budget will be used to increase the distribution of aid twice, each worth 200,000 rupiah per beneficiary for the period July and August 2021. In addition, she said the regional government has proposed providing basic food cards to 5.9 million new recipients who previously did not get this help.
Ibu Mensos masih akan lagi punya calon penerima 5,9 juta kelompok penerima yang merupakan usulan daerah yang sekarang ini belum memiliki kartu, bukan penerima kartu sembako dan di luar penerima bansos tunai. Mereka akan mendapatkan 6 bulan masing-masing 200.000 per bulannya.
Second, the government increased the social assistance budget for rice distribution to reach 3.58 trillion. Third, an additional social assistance budget is provided for the extension of the electricity discount subsidy. Fourth, the government aided the pre-employment card program budget of around 10 trillion rupiah. IDX Channel reports. And viewers, the government's claim that the implementation of the social protection budget is sufficient to reduce the rate of poverty and unemployment is denied by a senior economist Faisal Basri. He stated that unclear pandemic control policies put 143 million Indonesians at risk of falling into poverty. The poverty rate, which was recorded at 10.14% in March 2021, and the unemployment rate at 7.07% in August 2020, are considered the tip of the iceberg of irregularities in handling the pandemic. In-depth senior economist Faisal Basri explained that based on his current calculations, there are at least 143 million people, or more than 50% of the population, who will fall into poverty due to low social security. The most basic problem that causes it is unclear pandemic control policies. The government's hasty efforts to encourage economic recovery have actually made the handling of the pandemic drag on.
Yang ada 96,8 juta ini kan termasuk bukan yang miskin saja, tapi juga yang 40% termiskin itu. Ternyata situasinya lebih parah dari yang ditunjukkan PBIJKN itu. Kalau jumlah orang miskin ya cuma 27,55%. Nah, yang rentan-rentan inilah yang 143 juta ini yang sekarang nyaris menuju ke lembah kemiskinan itu. Sementara yang di-cover relatif sangat sedikit dan belum tentu tepat sasaran.
Faisal reminded the government to be firm in pushing for pandemic control because the longer Indonesia handles the pandemic, the harder the economic recovery will be. Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo, IDX Channel. And moving on to global update, oil-producing nations have agreed to increase their output with the aim of reducing prices and easing pressure on the world economy. Meantime, Hajj pilgrims stream out of the holy city of Mecca and into the Mina Valley, launching the rituals of the Great Pilgrimage. And more stories on today's International Minute. Oil-producing nations have agreed to increase their output with the aim of reducing prices and easing pressure on the world economy. The OPEC cartel and partners such as Russia will boost supply from August after prices climbed to 2.5-year highs during the pandemic. The move should have an impact on petrol prices at the pump, which have also rocketed. The price of Brent crude oil is up 43% this year to almost $74 a barrel. U.S. retail sales rose unexpectedly in June, reflecting fairly broad gains across spending categories and wrapping up a solid quarter for household demand. The value of overall retail purchases advanced 0.6% last month, following a downwardly revised 1.7% drop in May. Commerce Department figures showed Friday. Excluding autos, sales jumped 1.3% in June. Creditor countries have agreed to cancel $14.1 billion of Sudan's international debts, praising its economic reforms and efforts to fight poverty. In a statement Friday, the Paris Club of Creditor Nations also announced that it rescheduled Sudan's remaining $9.4 billion in debt to the group and held out the possibility of more debt relief in the future. Sudan's overall foreign debt is estimated at $70 billion. Hajj pilgrims stream out of the holy city of Mecca and into the Mina Valley, launching the rituals of the Great Pilgrimage, which Saudi Arabia is holding in a scaled-down form for a second year. Only 60,000 fully vaccinated citizens and residents of the kingdom are allowed to take part, far from the vast crowds that descend on Mecca in normal times, when the ritual drew up to 2.5 million pilgrims. IDX Channel reports. Market headlines will be right back after this quick break. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Clara Antawijaya. I'm associate producer and news presenter on Market Headlines. As Market Headlines starts at 4:30 p.m., which is in line with the closing market. Therefore, we summarize market conditions only for you. And my job in here as a journalist, I give concise and accurate news for the audience. And also, being a journalist is not only a job for me, but it is also a passion.
tren transisi ke energi baru dan terbarukan tidak membuat industri energi fosil lantas surut? Seperti apa dampaknya terhadap sektor migas?
Turunnya atau rendahnya harga minyak dan gas yang sangat drastis turunnya, adanya pandemi yang membuat terbatasnya pergerakan.
Langkah yang dilakukan apa nih Pak?
Hingga hari ini saya kira Brent hari ini sekitar 55. Ini sesuatu yang positif untuk industri. Yang itu kira.
Pemerintah semakin percaya diri mampu merealisasikan ekspektasi pertumbuhan yang tinggi.
Kita lihat dari PMI market kita sudah mencapai yang tertinggi.
Kementerian Keuangan memastikan tidak akan mengenakan PPN pada barang kebutuhan pokok.
Berbeda ketika sembako ini sifatnya premium.
Pemerintah kembali memutuskan untuk memperpanjang pemberlakuan pembatasan kegiatan masyarakat atau PPKM skala mikro. Pemerintah menargetkan pertumbuhan ekonomi yang lebih tinggi pada tahun 2022 mendatang.
Pertumbuhan ekonomi di kisaran 5,2 hingga 5,8%.
Literasi digital penting untuk meningkatkan ekonomi dengan akselerasi usaha.
Internet bisa memberi nilai tambah ekonomi bagi seluruh lapisan masyarakat.
Welcome back on Market Headline. Indonesia again received the assistance of a number of medical devices from other countries. In last Friday, a number of aids from the United Arab Emirates arrived in Indonesia. Indonesia again received the assistance of a number of medical devices from other countries. In last Friday, a number of aids from the United Arab Emirates arrived in Indonesia. The aid is the first wave from the UAE. The aid includes 250,000 doses of Sinopharm vaccine, 450 units of 40-liter oxygen cylinders, 150 units of portable oxygen concentrators, and 20 tons of medical safety equipment. The medical safety equipment is personal protective equipment, masks, gloves, and several other equipment. Meanwhile, previously on Wednesday, July 1st, aid from Singapore had also arrived. The assistance includes 250 oxygen cylinders with a capacity of 50 liters, 2 ISO tanks, 570 oxygen concentrators, 600 nasal cannula, and 600 bubble humidifiers. IDX Channel reports. The second wave of COVID-19 that hit Indonesia caused a spike in positive cases. As a result, health facilities are overwhelmed due to the reduced availability of drugs and equipment to treat patients. In the midst of the COVID-19 storm, a number of countries provided assistance to Indonesia. Which countries and what was given to Indonesia? Let's examine it further in this following infographics. And in the first graphic, we can see the latest situation of COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia as of July 14th. The cases, 41.5 thousand new cases per day, 900 deaths per day, 443.5 thousand active cases. While the vaccination rate, 13.3% of the population vaccinated the first dose, and only 5.5% of the population fully vaccinated. The source we taken from Worldometer and Our World in Data. And emergency restrictions have been implemented by the government to stem the surge in COVID-19 cases from day to day. But it turns out that the implementation of these restrictions has not been able to reduce the daily rate of COVID-19 cases, where the figure is still high above 40,000 cases per day. And regarding this, the government apologizes for the non-optimal role of restrictions in suppressing COVID-19 cases, although the government has stated that it will continue to try to reduce the number of COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, the surge in cases of COVID-19 also has an impact on the high demand for medical oxygen for patients. So how big is the need right now? And let's directly see the data on the next graphic. So we can see the demand and the production of medical oxygen in Indonesia in tons per day. In Jakarta, the demand is 524 tons, while the production is only 101 tons. In West Java, 479 tons demand, while the production is 189. In Central Java, the production much lower, only 63 tons, while the demand is 390 tons. And East Java, it's quite balanced, while the demand is 407 and the production in 492. And Banten, the production is much higher, 643 tons, while the demand is only 130 tons per day. And the high demand for oxygen has prompted the government to cooperate with industry players. Even President Jokowi last week immediately came to one of the largest oxygen producing companies in Indonesia, the Samator Group. In his statement, the president ensured that cooperation with industry players was intended to boost production capacity in order to meet the high demand for medical oxygen, especially for COVID-19 patients in Indonesia. And in addition to encouraging domestic production, as well as importing, the government also said that a number of countries had sent aid to Indonesia. Which countries and what assistance is provided? Let's check the answer in the next graphic. In the third graphic, we can see the aid from the United States and Japan for Indonesia. From the United States, 4.5 million doses of Moderna vaccine, 3 million doses already arrived in July 11, 2021, while 1.5 million doses more from Moderna will come in the next stage. And from Japan, 2.1 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine, 998.4 thousand doses already arrived on July 11, and 1.1 million doses will come in the next stage. And regarding the assistance, the Japanese ambassador to Indonesia, Kenji Kamsugi, hoped that this assistance could help Indonesia reduce the rate of transmission of COVID-19 and strengthen partnership between the two countries. And then, in addition to two countries, last Friday, Indonesia also received the first phase of assistance from the United Arab Emirates, including 250,000 doses of Sinopharm vaccine, 450 units of 40-liter oxygen cylinders, 150 units of portable oxygen concentrators, and 20 tons of medical equipment, including PPE, masks, and gloves. And furthermore, the government revealed that Singapore and Australia also provide assistance to Indonesia. And for more details, let's check it out in the next graphic. So the aid from Singapore and Australia for Indonesia. The Singapore, 756 units of 50-liter oxygen cylinders, and 600 units of oxygen concentrator, and 200 units ventilator. The aid from Singapore already arrived on 9 and 11 July 2021. Meanwhile, from Australia, 1,000 units ventilator already received on July 9th, 2021. While in the next stage, 2.5 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccine will be sent, 40,000 units of antigen test kits, 700 units of oxygen concentrator, and 170 units of oxygen cylinder. And not only relying on assistance from other countries, the government also continues to strive to accelerate the handling of the pandemic, one of which is in the provision of vaccines, where the Ministry of Health with Pfizer Indonesia and BioNTech agreed to work together to provide 50 million doses of Pfizer vaccine throughout 2021. This agreement is part of Pfizer and BioNTech commitment to help tackle the COVID-19 pandemic, where Pfizer and BioNTech targeting to produce 3 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccine globally by the end of 2021. And hopefully, viewers, with the help of all parties, and of course, the government's hard work, the COVID-19 handling in Indonesia can be more optimal and be able to achieve the target sets. And of course, stay tuned on Market Headlines. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Hai sahabat investor, kalian ingin tetap bisa menabung meskipun keadaan keuangan kalian sedang sulit? Dengerin tips berikut ini ya. Kita masuk ke tips yang pertama ya. Nah, yang pertama, kalian harus memenuhi semua kebutuhan rutin kalian terlebih dahulu nih. Barulah setelah itu kalian bisa mengalokasikan pendapatan kalian untuk memenuhi kebutuhan pelengkap lainnya. Kita masuk ke tips yang kedua ya sobat investor. Jadi penting sekali bagi kalian untuk menutup hutang sesuai dengan kemampuan kalian. Selain itu, kalian juga perlu menentukan utang mana yang harus kalian dahulukan untuk dilunasi. Selain itu, penting juga untuk selalu menyesuaikan dengan uang tunai yang kalian miliki. Tips selanjutnya yaitu tips yang ketiga. Jadi kalian penting sekali untuk menekan biaya bulanan nih sobat investor. Jadi kalian juga memang harus memangkas kebutuhan yang memang sifatnya hanya pelengkap saja. Dan penting sekali bagi kalian untuk mempertahankan biaya bulanan yang sifatnya memang untuk kebutuhan utama kalian. Tips yang keempat terkait dengan pengelolaan aset. Jadi jika ternyata penghasilan yang kalian miliki ini tidak bisa menutup kebutuhan kalian, maka kalian bisa mempertimbangkan untuk menjual aset yang kalian miliki. Tips yang kelima, jangan lupa sisihkan sekitar 10% dari penghasilan kalian untuk ditabung di tiap bulannya. Dan saat keadaan keuangan kalian sedang sulit, tidak menjadi alasan untuk gagal mencapai impian. Jangan lupa ya, harus selalu rajin dan juga disiplin dalam menabung, sobat investor.
Presiden Joko Widodo memiliki optimisme yang tinggi terkait dengan proses vaksinasi nasional yang sedang dilakukan saat ini. Bagaimana tanggapan dari pengusaha dengan angka ini?
Tentu membuat kita harus lebih berhati-hati.
Langkah apa yang tepat dilakukan untuk bisa meningkatkan pemahaman masyarakat?
Komunikasi publik adalah kunci. Jadi kita harus bisa menunjukkan kepada masyarakat bahwa vaksinasi itu penting.
Welcome back. At the Jakarta Composite Index Intraday Movement, earlier today, JCI was open at the level of 6,062.97. And then approaching the closing time on the first session, the index was on the level of 6,031.68. And then the index was showing weakening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 6,017.39. And in short, JCI went down 0.91%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement of JCI, leading the dynamics of today's trading. Infrastructure as the leader of the strengthening trend went up 0.25%. Energy went up 0.07%. And then we got industry as the leader of weakening trend that went down 1.59%. And basic industry went down 1.56%. And from the sectoral movement, moving on to top gainers and top losers. Here are the key highlights from today's trading session. Bursa went up 6.15% to the level of 2,590 rupiah per share. Agro went up 9.57%, while Telkom Indonesia went up 1.58%, and BGTG went up 13.42% to the level of 169 rupiah per share. Meantime, the top losers for today's trading, we got BBCA went down 1.72% to the level of 30,025 rupiah per share. Aneka Gas Industry went down 0.89%. BBRI went down 1.56%, and Arto went down 3.77% to the level of 15,300 rupiah per share. From top gainers and top losers, let's see the rupiah movement of today's trading. Well, rupiah opened at the level of 14,522. Rupiah was also showing strengthening trend towards US dollar and was closed at the level of 14,560. In summary, rupiah went up 0.34%. State-owned airline Garuda Indonesia recorded a loss of 2.44 billion US dollar, or equivalent to 34.45 trillion rupiah in 2020. State-owned airline Garuda Indonesia recorded a loss of 2.44 billion US dollar, or equivalent to 34.45 trillion rupiah in 2020. The loss increased from a net loss in 2019 of $38.94 million. Based on its financial reports, Garuda Indonesia recorded revenues of 1.49 billion. This value is down 67.36% from revenue in 2019. Scheduled flights are the main contributor to Garuda's revenue of 1.2 billion in 2020, down from 2019's of $3.77 billion. Meanwhile, Garuda has to bear the flight operating expenses of 1.65 billion in 2020. Garuda's equity was also negative of 1.94 billion at the end of 2020. This condition reversed from the positive equity of 582.58 million in 2019. Meantime, Garuda's liabilities reached 12.73 billion in 2020. Garuda's liabilities increased from 2019, amounting to $3.87 billion. IDX Channel reports. Five banks agreed to restructure the debt of Waskita Karya, worth 19.3 trillion rupiah, or equivalent to 65% of the total loan from all of the company's creditors. A total of 5 banks agreed to restructure the debt of Waskita Karya, worth 19.2 trillion. This value is equivalent to 65% of the total loan, amounting to 29.26 trillion from all of the company's creditors. The 5 creditors are Bank Negara Indonesia, Bank Mandiri, Bank Rakyat Indonesia, Bank Syariah Indonesia, and Bank Pembangunan Daerah Jawa Barat. Minister of State-Owned Enterprises Erick Thohir welcomed this restructuring agreement. That way, Waskita's debt burden is lighter, so that it can help the company's financial recovery. He hopes that Waskita can bounce back so that in the future it can fulfill its obligations in paying off debts to the 5 banks. Waskita Karya's President Director Destiawan Suwarjono added that agreement with the 5 creditors would be a momentum and a good new beginning for the improvement of Waskita's financial condition and operational performance. IDX Channel reports. Telkom Indonesia together with Etisalat Group will invest $100 million for data center in Batam, Riau Islands. Telkom Indonesia together with Etisalat Group will invest $100 million or equivalent to 1.45 trillion rupiah. The funds will be used to build a data center in Batam, Riau Islands. Based on information submitted on the website of the Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs, the investment will be made in Nongsa Digital Park, Batam. Nongsa Digital Park has been designated as a special economic zone through government regulation number 68 of 2021. Currently, the area has 160 companies with 1,000 workers from local and foreign companies. The area was inaugurated in March 2018 and is the main project used as a digital hub between Indonesia and Singapore. Meanwhile, for information, Etisalat Group is a telecommunications company headquartered in Abu Dhabi. The company operates in 16 countries in the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. IDX Channel reports. And step aside from market condition as coronavirus pandemic takes big role on current economic situation. Here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news closes our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business, and capital market channel. And as the COVID-19 pandemic is still going on, keep protecting your family by following the health protocols. Wearing face masks, keep your distance and stay away from crowds, and wash your hands through running water. And also continue to support the vaccination program to accelerate the creation of herd immunity. I'm Fajar Wayong. Have a nice evening and stay safe.
Bursa Efek Indonesia adalah lompatan besar menuju transformasi pertumbuhan perusahaan. Bergabung